This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.
Welcome to What's News Dunedin, brought to you by Hazur Kebab, the radio show that spawned from the 20,000 plus strong local Oti poachers in Dunedin, What's News Dunedin Facebook group. The group that's been putting the social back in the social media since 2020 with respectful adult debate and a sense of humour. I'm your host, Richard Knights. On today's show, we'll be talking to our wonderful guest, Laura Lockwood, clinical hypnotherapist, who'll be telling us more about themselves and what they do and what's been going on since the last time they were on the show, as well as helping us look back on the posts that have generated the most interactions over the last 7 days on the What's News Dunedin Facebook group. Those posts this week are measles cases up and down the Motu, which is a bit concerning, Labour announcing a capital gains tax of sorts, and the cruise ships being back for the summer season. Welcome back to the show, Laura.
Kia ora, Richard.
And thank you for stepping in as an emergency fill-in. There's quite often life gets in the way with many of the guests, and I tend to sort of book out for long times in advance. So suddenly people are like, I can't do it. What am I going to do? And they're always so apologetic, and it's like, I get it. Life gets in the way. So today's previous guest will now just be scheduled for later on in the year, which is fantastic. So, but it gives me an opportunity. You sent me an email yesterday, perfect timing, because I suddenly thought, hey, maybe Laura wants to come and talk about the show. So we'll talk about that email a bit later on. But I don't know if when you were here last time, do we have pun of the week last time you were here?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Don't know. Well, we're doing this new thing on the page now. We have Pun Day Monday, right? So on Monday, we get everyone to bring their best dad jokes and puns, and whoever gets the most laugh reacts. It's as simple as that. There's no science involved. Whoever gets the most laugh reacts gets their joke read out on the show on Friday. Reigning champion Max Reed, he's always there every week, and we've had a few instances where he's been knocked off his perch, but he's the winner this week. But and basically what we're doing is seeing whether the joke becomes funny off the page as it was on the page, you know? So our pun of the week this week is, I'm a bit peed off with my audiologist. I sent my hearing aid in for a service over a week ago and I haven't heard a thing since.
Very funny.
So I like wordplay for me. I like wordplay. So it's so Max is kind of our reigning champion. So if anyone out there is listening, and wants to knock Max off his perch, friend of the show, lovely bloke, absolutely, he's a very funny man. But let's not let him, continue to be the person that gets the jokes every single week. We need to, we need to share the love around, I think.
Yeah, I'd give him a solid 8 on that joke.
It's a pretty good joke. Absolutely.
Pretty
good. He had two that literally had the same amount of laugh reacts, and I had to pick one. So I might tell the other one as well, because his other one, which was on there, which I thought was pretty good. It says, what do you get if you cross a lake and half a boat?
I don't know. What do you get?
Oh no, what do you get? Sorry, I got that wrong. What do you get if you cross a lake and a leaky boat? About halfway.
Ah, there you go.
So yeah, I always sport it with the way I told it. That's because I haven't got it written down. So let's go to our 3 pop questions. Now you've been on the show before.
I have.
So the pop questions change.
Good.
You see? So we have returning pop questions for returning guests, because otherwise it's just boring. So first pop question: toilet paper. When you're hanging your toilet paper on the roll, on the toilet roll holder, is the paper hanging down closest to you, or hanging down furthest away from you against the wall?
It is away from the wall, and the reason why is the patent for toilet paper has it going away from the wall. There's a patent for toilet paper.
Wow.
This has been a dialogue a lot.
Wow. So I see. I'm like, it has to be that way for me, and I don't care whose house I'm in. If they've got it wrong, I'm changing it. Right? I'm one of those people. I can't help it. I look at that going, I can't sit it like that. I've got to turn it back so it's away from the wall, because I'm a go to the loo in the night kind of person with the lights off. And if I sit down and I want to reach for the toilet roll, I don't want to be sort of like banging into the wall. I want it close to me, So
agreed. It's the way it's designed to work.
Designed to be, and according to the patent. I mean, I love it when science backs up my weirdness, like my own personal sort of like foibles. It's like that makes me a lot happier.
Yeah, you can Google it.
Oh, fantastic! Well, that's even better. Now, second pop question: who is your favourite Spice Girl?
Oh. It's got to be Posh. I mean, she is amazing. She married David Beckham. She's created this whole empire. I would marry
I'd
David
marry
Beckham.
David Beckham. Yeah, he's a fantastically handsome-looking man.
He is.
So
I actually featured him in my book, one of my books.
Oh wow,
Bend It Like Beckham.
Bend It Like Beckham. Yeah, he's
So
not
definitely posh.
He doesn't seem like a bad bloke either. I mean, he talks a bit simple. Like when he opens his mouth, you kind of go like, I'm not sure he's like the cleverest man who ever lived, but he married posh.
You know what? I think he's a great family man.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a compulsive cleaner.
Is he?
He's very neat.
He's like me then. I'm a neat freak. I'm not. My wife will tell you I'm not a compulsive cleaner, but I'm a compulsive like that has to be neat and tidy.
He's very neat and tidy, very clean, very organized. He's never cheated on her. I think he's a great role model, and she is a smart girl to have caught him.
Yeah, and he's got abs.
Oh my God, he has everything.
That's six-pack, eh? Well, yeah. No, I'm a little bit jealous. Not so much of him marrying Victoria Beckham. I've got my own posh spice. But yeah, he's definitely he deserves the accolades and the riches.
He's a role model. You know.
There goes his way. Absolutely. So now, third and final question.
I'm ready.
And it's the thinker. The thinker. Would you rather only have 5 years with the love of your life and then never see them again, or find the love of your life but never be able to be in a relationship with them?
Oh, the 5 years. Absolutely. Take what you can get in life.
Take the 5 years.
Oh, absolutely. My grandmother got remarried at 82. She had a facelift liposuction at 81, got remarried at 82, and they were together for 10 years, and it was the best 10 years of her life.
Yeah. When I was putting this one down, I thought, what would I do? I think you can cram a lot into 5 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a pet, sometimes your pet only lives a certain time.
Yeah, that's the hardest part about pets, eh? Like they're far now, and then suddenly they leave you. I've had a couple of ones with dogs where they just, they've gone on their way across the Rainbow Bridge, and you just kind of, and then they go, I'm never doing that again, and then suddenly I've got another dog.
Oh, I take it as I had such a great experience with that dog. I'll have another one at a certain point.
Yeah. I found the last one was heartbreaking, like for me.
I still mourn my dog.
About a year ago, so it was really tough. But again, it's like you love them unconditionally,
Oh,
and so,
of course.
So if you've got 5 years with someone, you can.
You know what? I'd pack everything I could in that 5 years and enjoy every moment.
It doesn't say here whether you know that or not, whether you know you're only getting 5 years or not. So I'm going to assume that you wouldn't know that it's 5 years, so because it's that, So if you know you've got 5 years, you just do absolutely everything.
The other side of the thing is just heartbreak, like not being able to
constant
be
heartbreak. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's depressing.
That doesn't feel great, does it? I would
never take that as an option.
No. I think we're both on the same page when it comes to that one. So, we'll take 5 years with the love of our lives. And
absolutely,
then,
I'm waiting.
And then there you go, listeners. If you're listening, Laura's waiting.
I'm waiting for the love of my life.
There's still plenty of time. And yeah, absolutely. So and then after that, just go your merry way and on you go. So job done. So let's talk about our 3 topics of the week. So The first one is a very serious one actually, and that's the worrying outbreak of measles cases that we are seeing up and down the Motu. Now, for context, I mean, I had measles when I was a kid, so I know how bad measles can be. I had the whole lot. I had measles, mumps, rubella, German measles.
Chickenpox.
I had the whole lot. Chickenpox, yeah. But the ones that are covered by the MMR jab, which is obviously measles, mumps, and rubella, I had all 3 as a child, and it went through our family. And I remember I remember being very young, but I remember it was a torrid time. It was a horrible, horrible time, and we were fit, young, healthy family, so we weren't hit anywhere as hard as what these diseases can do. But the thing for me is that it was we managed as sort of like what's the right word, as nations that have medicine and all those kind of things to actually pretty much eradicate these diseases.
Correct.
Like because of the fact that actually vaccination, the MMR jab, is absolutely it's highly effective. It's so safe, and it just blitzed the disease. Now we're starting to see cases because people have started to kind of think that people become in my mind, they become armchair experts on Facebook because the internet has provided us with so much information. I genuinely think people have got stupider by gathering that. They've actually had the ability to kind of listen to the noise and sort of fall in with the noise and kind of go, actually, no, it's I don't think vaccination is good for me and my family. And now we're seeing people getting measles again. You know, I mean, we eradicated polio, we eradicated smallpox, you know, we eradicated measles. Suddenly, but we're getting it back because vaccination, instead of just keeping ourselves protected, keeping our families safe, keeping our children safe, it's one of those diseases that has like massive long-term implications. We stopped doing it. We think we know better than science. And the bit that frustrates me is that, like, the people that are saying, I'm not going to give my kids the MMR jab. I had the MMR jab a couple of years ago because it got offered to me because I'd never had it, obviously, but I had the disease as a child. And then the doctor said, you know, the free MMR jab, do you want it? And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, take that in a heartbeat. Like, why wouldn't I? Like, I'm not worried about getting it myself, but if I can protect someone else that I'm literally coming into contact with in a fleeting moment, I'm going to say, yeah, absolutely. It's not for me, it's for them, right? But these people that I see going on about the vaccination and the COVID vaccination and this vaccination and that vaccination are also still the same people that, excuse me, pitch up at ED when they've got an illness or a broken bone. They go to their doctor when they don't understand the symptoms that they're experiencing. Trust the medicine that the pharmacist is giving over the counter to them. And then for some reason know better than medical science when it comes to a vaccination that's protecting not only them, but everyone around them. Thoughts?
I just got my 10th COVID vaccine yesterday. I'm huge. I got the shingles vaccine, and I had to pay for it out of my pocket. It was about $750.
That's a lot of money, eh?
You know what? How would I feel if I got shingles?
Yeah, that's a bad one. From what I've heard from people that have had it, that really kind of blitzes you.
Exactly. And so I'm a huge fan of vaccines. Like you said, it's the science. And there's so much disinformation out there. There's all these podcasts, and they just want listeners. They just want engagement.
Yeah, I know.
So they just pick something like RFK. He just picked something, and now they're trying to say Tylenol has whatever, and
yeah,
it's just a mess out there. And so people really do need to look at the science and understand that vaccines are a good thing. We eradicated polio.
Yeah.
We did eradicate measles, and now it's coming back because all these people are finding exemptions, especially religious exemptions. And Texas had a huge outbreak. Several hundred kids got measles, and it's preventable.
Exactly. It doesn't need to happen. These people do not need to be sick, and it doesn't help anyone. And then you get all that sort of strange. It is misinformation, and there's a part of me. I don't know how you deal with it, but there's a part of me that says that if you spread misinformation widely and willfully, it almost to me should be a crime. I mean, I know that might sound extreme, because it's harmful. You know, it's actually a damaging thing. You know, that you can actually those words that you've used could end up with someone dying. And when you kind of break it right back to that to me is kind of like that's serious. Like genuinely, that to me that feels very, very serious. Because if you could be proven to if the police were watching it and I could be proven to show that I taught you to jump out the window, right? That would be murder.
Yeah.
Right. That would. I mean,
it'd be contributing. Yeah.
In the true meaning, that would be murder. I've convinced you that the best thing to do is jump out that window. You've done it. You've fallen to your death. But I can convince you to not take a vaccine, which could, and therefore you could die from and there's no ramifications for me to doing that. And I find that very strange. I mean, I don't think you can police people's words. There's free speech, but it feels that there's a balance there that's not right.
People have become radicalized, and it's like a religion or something. And they get on a soapbox about whatever the topic is: climate change, vaccines, whatever, and they can't listen, they can't hear, they don't debate, they don't know how to read a JAMA medical article, nothing.
No.
And so they just repeat what they hear. I cannot tell you how many people I speak to, and they're repeating Fox News, word for word, and you just can't talk to them. And so I think it's a mental health issue, and I think that so many. When we look back on this time, we're going to say, look at what Facebook did to us. Look what TikTok did to us. You know,
look what anti-social media has literally delivered. I mean, when they set social media up, I mean, it's right there in the bloody title, social media, and there's nothing social about it. It's quite. I mean, I spend my time on social media, right? I mean, that's what part of what I do is the What's News Dunedin Facebook group. But it's probably the most social part of social media that exists, because I've taken time to actually try and repurpose anti-social media and actually bring it back to being social and caring and kind and
I
those
saw
kind of
that
things.
post that you did that somebody was saying things that were extremely derogatory to you. And you just kind of said, hey, let's have some common decency and some common sense. And I think I even wrote you and I said, you know what, those people aren't talking about you. They're talking about themselves. You know, if I call you fat or I call you ugly, I'm really talking about me. If I'm saying, oh, I don't like the way you drive, I'm probably a bad driver.
Yeah. It's quite a lot of it, eh? So, but I just think the vaccine stuff it really irks me, because actually I've benefited from vaccines. I know I have. My family have. You know.
Me too. I've taken so many vaccines, and in fact, USAID, when Trump closed that down, he probably created, I don't know, 1 million deaths or something, I heard was the thing, because he cut off vaccines to Nigeria, South African countries, places that are low poverty, low socioeconomic.
Yep.
And they're the people who need it the most. So Bill Gates has actually stepped up, and he's trying to fill that gap. But it's just a mess right now. And you're right. People need vaccines. I know that there's an emotional component, because people sometimes have an adverse effect and they die or they get sick or whatever.
Yep.
But you have to look at it as a percentage. And so I'm a soldier, and I get my vaccine. Anything they offer me that I can take, I take. And I haven't died yet.
Yeah, and I'm exactly the same. So let's move on to topic number 2, and that is Labour announcing I'd say a fairly watered-down, weak capital gains tax that they are going to start campaigning on for the coming election. Not your family home, for your second and third and fourth and however many other properties that you've got, if and when you sell it, and if and when you make a profit from selling it. I've come from the UK. The capital gains tax exists in the UK, always has done, and it exists for everything. So capital gains tax exists for property, shares.
Even your primary home.
No.
In the U.S.
In the U.S.
I know all about capital gains tax.
not in the UK. In the UK, they do have something called stamp duty, though. So if you sell a house over a certain value, you just pay an arbitrary 1% tax, which is just I just find that crazy. But it's not capital gains tax. The capital gains tax is on every property other than your main residence. I used to sell tax software in the UK, so I've seen all the complicated calculations and stuff. But it would cover shares and all those kind of things, because anything that you can make money out of, right? Anything that you can create income from,
right? You should pay tax.
You probably should pay tax on. Yeah, absolutely. And I think Labour could have done more. I think Labour should have done more, right? I mean, in the UK as well, you've got inheritance tax, you've got stamp duty, you've got capital gains tax, you've got VAT or GST as we call it over here. So they'll tax you always to Christmas, basically. And I'm not an advocate for that, but the fact of the matter is that tax runs the country, right? There's no three ways about it. If we don't pay tax, we don't have any money for the government to do the things that we need. So it becomes user pays for everything, from roads to buildings to everything.
Buying the ferries.
Absolutely. Winston decides we're getting $1 billion ferry, sends an invoice around to everybody and says, hey, your contribution for that ferry is going to be, $40 or whatever it might be. But I think Labour could have done more. I think it's a great start. I think it's absolutely what they need to do. National are up in arms going, oh, look, they're going to tax you. Well, they're not taxing anyone, but they're also just not helping anyone. And that's the other side of it, is like, if you don't tax people, then you can't help people.
Exactly. But we need to tax the people who can afford it. So instead of just squeezing the lower and middle class till they bleed, why aren't we not taxing the rich more? And that capital gains tax is kind of like that. Because if you own like I lived in Invercargill, I was renter. The woman I rented from had like 11 properties.
Yep.
And what I've read a lot of news articles about, Kiwis viewed real estate as an investment. So for decades now, all Kiwis have done is just buy property. And so they have multiple properties. So that stops me from being able to buy a primary home build my generational wealth.
Yeah, and then they can sell it with no tax implications whatsoever.
No, they should be taxed.
And suddenly it's like Christopher Luxon changed the law on the Bright Line tax, so that he could sell a house and not pay any tax.
See, that's immoral. That you should have a code of ethics, and he should not be allowed to do that.
No, exactly. How can you be in government and change a law to benefit yourself? That to me, that is absolutely fundamentally immoral. Like
it is.
Regardless of who did it and how you did it, I have done something that personally benefits me directly.
And that's only one thing that we know that Christopher Luxon has done. We've seen that behavior. We know that he thinks that's okay. Yeah. What is he doing behind our back?
And it's crazy. So because you've also got the bright line tax. So that is where you where you sell a property within 2 years of buying a property.
Okay.
So
you're flipping basically.
You're flipping. And so that's like and that doesn't happen for a lot of people. But so capital gains tax is something separate to that. So you could have a property that let's say I've got one house right now which I've owned for 15 years, and I buy another house.
Right.
And if I sell that other house within 2 years, I pay bright line tax. Right.
Do you get credit for if you do investments? Say you buy this house for $400,000, and you invest $100,000. You fix the kitchen, you fix the bathroom. Do you get credit for that $100,000 in repairs?
I think if you can show that you've spent that money, then
right.
that obviously it's certainly in the capital gains tax in the UK. It works in a way where you said, right, I buy something for 20 grand. I've spent 5 grand on improvements.
Correct.
And I sell it for 30 grand. I get taxed on the 5.
Right, and that's how they do it.
Rather than taxing on the 10, because the difference is, so I bought it for 20, sold it for 30, but I spent 5 on improvement. So there is this method in capital gains tax where you say how much you spent to improve.
And I think that's all fair.
I think it absolutely is. But the thing is, at the moment, say if I've got one house that's I've owned 15 years, I buy another house and I sell it within 2 years, I pay tax. But if I sell it in 2 years and a day, right now, I don't pay any tax whatsoever.
Right, and that's your second home.
And that's my second home.
See,
and that's where the capital gains will pick that up and go. Capital gains will go. Actually, you're now paying tax on that.
And they should pay because, my God, I'm trying to buy one home.
Yep.
How many Kiwis are renters and don't even have the money to get into one home?
That's it. That's the other side of it, and it's all that sort of like accumulation of properties that's stopping other people from actually having their own home. But the bit that I find absolutely the craziest. This and I saw someone mention it, so I'm not going to pretend that I suddenly thought of this, right? Is that if I've got money in the bank, right? If I've got $10 in a savings account, in whatever bank account that I've got,
right,
I accumulate interest, right?
Yep.
So on that $10, I might accumulate 5 cents,
right,
over a year. I get taxed on that.
Correct. I see the deduction
they take
every
the tax.
time.
Yeah. So no one seems to have a problem with that. Like you're literally taking the tiniest amount of money that I've got, and you're taking another tiny amount of money from it.
Well, it's a percentage.
Exactly. But then people can't understand the fact that if I made absolutely obscene amounts, like hundreds and thousands of dollars, that I should be able to do that in a different way to how I accumulate interest. And
honestly, we should have a flat tax. And so if you're a millionaire, so you have $1 trillion in assets, or you're a normal human being, you make $80,000 a year, you both pay 15% flat tax.
Yeah.
And that way it's an even distribution. But they have all these tax laws and
loopholes.
all these loopholes. Exactly. And they keep benefiting the rich because what's Christopher Luxon's net worth?
God knows.
It's got to be millions and millions. I mean, he was the CEO of he's got multiple homes, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think he's down to about 4, but he sold about 4.
That's my point.
Yeah.
How much tax I'd be interested to see his tax returns.
Yeah, but the thing is, once you've got a certain amount of money, you can also afford an accountant to actually make sure that you pay the least tax that you possibly can. And again, like whilst that's the job for someone, like that's their
I have a chartered accountant. He's lovely.
Yeah, exactly. They help us, But the fact of the matter is, the wealthier that you are, the less tax you pay because you have the means and the wherewithal to actually find ways not to pay it, legal ways not to pay it. It's not like I'm saying these people are doing anything that's illegal. They're not. They're absolutely doing it within the letter of the law. But it's just crazy that that's something that we can do. Want to move on from that one.
Okay.
And the next topic is the cruise ships. back in town for another season, a smaller season than previously. I think we're down about, I think someone said 15 ships down from what we had last season. To me, cruise ships are a double-edged sword. Double-edged sword in the sense that, yes, they bring some population to Dunedin. They put Dunedin on the map in a regard from a tourist point of view. But this is big hunk of floating Petri dish that kind of arrives off the sea that isn't particularly environmentally friendly. And when you break it down, for the amount of people you're bringing in, like the 4,000 people that come on one boat, the actual distribution of money from those people into the actual local economy is actually reasonably small, because most people tend to stay on board and do the things on the ship because it's included in the price.
Correct. Rather
than jumping off and spending stuff in the local economy. It might be a coffee here or a coffee there or a meal there or a meal here. But they don't tend to. It's not like they're spending. It's not like they're rushing off the boat en masse to spend fortunes. But yet, some of our industry very much relies on that tourism input in order to, and it's one of those things that I get really torn, because the cruise industry is not doing enough by a long, long way to minimise its impact on our beautiful planet. That's the one thing.
Agreed. 100%.
That's one thing I do know. But then I don't want people going out of business. I don't want people going out of business or struggling here because suddenly they don't exist anymore. And it's a real. I get torn. But it's the environmental impact that kind of grabs me the most. And I've got friends who are out there protesting the other day. Bruce Mahowski, a very prominent voice, friend of the show, friend of mine, making a lot of sense. And people are going, well, I love cruises. It's like, yeah.
Oh, I love cruises. I got married on a cruise.
Yeah, exactly.
Got divorced in a courthouse, but...
Absolutely. Can you get divorced on a cruise?
I don't know, but I did get married. I mean, we got off the boat and I got married in Santorini, Greece. And little mayor of Thera came up in his little white car and his white suit and got married. Got back on the ship.
Yeah. But you can't. You can't get.
I love cruises. I've been on many, many cruises all over the world. I just went to Antarctica on a cruise.
Yep.
But you're right about the double-edged sword, because tourists are not educated to the impact they have when they go into another place.
Yep.
So when they come here to Dunedin, they buy a takeaway coffee. Are they actually making sure it's getting in a rubbish bin? Are they using a reusable cup? If they buy a plastic water bottle, do they just throw it to the side? And so that's one of the big things with tourists, is they don't realize their impact when they come into a community.
Yes. And you don't realize when you buy your ticket either. When do you know what I mean? Can you imagine going to the tourist, if you go into what do they call them? Tourist agents? No, they're not. Travel agents. Going to travel agents, and you sit there and you go like, yeah, I'd just like to book my flights and I'm going to go here and I'll do a cruise, and they go, yeah, and your impact, your carbon impact, sir, on what you've just done and your destruction of the planet looks like this. You'd never book another holiday again, probably. You
know what? I don't fly anyplace anymore because I live in the most beautiful country in the entire world. Why would I want to leave? But I just went vegan, and I found out that I reduced my carbon footprint by 75% by just going vegan. And it's the easiest thing in the world. I haven't lost any weight, so it doesn't. You're not going to get skinny going vegan. But it's so easy. Yeah. And it makes such a difference to the environment. And I went to Antarctica. I mean, I went to South America. I went places, but I was conscious. I took a water bottle with me, so I never had to buy a plastic water bottle. I took an insulated coffee mug with me, so if I bought a coffee, I took my cup with me everywhere I went, and I was conscious of those types of things to reduce my impact.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. I think a lot of people don't. Yeah, so like I think a lot of people wouldn't buy a holiday if they actually if that's, say, if you're at the travel agent, they actually gave you your breakdown. This is the damage you might this damage you might have done.
Air New Zealand had the option to buy sustainable fuel for the plane. It's only like 20% to an 80% ratio. I did research, there's a company in like the Netherlands or whatever, and they could have shipped that sustainable fuel to Marsden Point. Marsden Point has a pipeline straight to Auckland Airport, and so they could have brought in all the sustainable fuel, reduced carbon emissions by 80%. The cost of the fuel is comparable to what they're already paying now. So it's just a very simple switch, but they didn't do it. And they let Marsden Point, they just shut it down, and now it's an eyesore.
It is crazy. It is crazy. It's like I found out the other day. There's a brand of razors that I use and a brand of shaving gel called King of Shaves that I've used for a long, long time because as you can tell, I'm a very sensitive kind of guy. I've got very sensitive skin. Touch me and I will break, right? So I've always used this kind of like no foam, see where you can shave, like as many blades as you can possibly get because I need it. If there's a 57 blade razor, I need it because I need all the cutting ability I've got because I don't want to hurt my poor little face. And they had this range of shaving gels that I've always used for a long, long time. And I'm a creature of habit. I'm wearing the same socks from the same brand that I bought when I was 13.
I'm the same way.
But anyway, and they moved from having these all these continual plastic throwaway bottles with the gel in to an aluminium pump dispenser.
Oh, nice.
With then you got a refill plastic, like a flexible plastic, like a thin plastic pouch that you refilled.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, fantastic. So I start doing that because I'm thinking, that's fine. And it was 70%. So they said on the packet, 70% less plastic than just having the thing. So I'm buying them, and then now suddenly I can't buy them. So I can't find the refills anymore. So I'm on Amazon. I'm on everywhere. I'm thinking if I can get my brother coming, he's coming over. Like bring some with. I can't find them. I can't find them. They've literally disappeared. And I'm sitting there with a refillable bottle that I can't refill now, but I can still buy the plastic ones. So I started hunting around, right? Because I'm kind of going, this is stupid. Like they've literally only just brought it in. Why can't I now refill my refillable thing in the manner that because this is more sustainable? Finally managed to get to the King of Shaves website, deep buried in the bowels of their frequently asked questions. Where's your plastic? Where's your refillable thing gone? Someone had asked the question. And it turns out that the big supermarkets in the UK, says Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Asda and Waitrose and those kind of guys, wouldn't give the new plastic pouches shelf space. So therefore they had to go back to a less sustainable plastic bottle that gets thrown away every single time. And I look at that and I just want to cry.
Oh, I feel the same way. Every time I fill my 30-day pill dispenser and the amount of plastic that I throw away just from popping the pills out of the sleeves, I just think this is going in a whale's belly. It's just going to end up in a landfill.
It's horrible, eh?
Yeah, and it's really sad. Something's going to break. We can't keep on this trajectory and expect nothing to happen.
I think something's broken already. I just don't think the world's caught up and noticed yet.
Well, they talk about like weather in Auckland. I mean, look at the erosion of they're losing all these homes on the coastlines and stuff like that, South Dunedin, with the flooding. I mean, it's something that we have to address, and New Zealand is horrible about kicking the can. They don't want to be proactive on anything, like our ferries, our healthcare.
I actually don't think it's just New Zealand. I think it's a lot of places.
Well, true, very
true. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you can point the finger, but you can point the finger at like around the world and say, actually,
Well, America drives the economy of every other country in the world.
How? That I don't understand. Like they got
China's catching up.
They got 350 million people. China's got 1 billion people. Right? Surely, I just don't get. I don't get how that balance of power has ever came to be. But that's just
America is about capitalism.
Yeah.
It's about how much money can we make? What's the rate of return to our shareholders?
Yeah,
That's it. And so it's about, look at all the oil companies. We really should be going to sustainable energy sources, solar power, wind power, hydropower, and there's money to be made in it.
Yeah.
But it's an old habit.
Yes.
And you think Shell and ExxonMobil and all these oil companies want to let go of that revenue? And it's just horrible for the environment. Just horrible.
Of course not. I want to move on and talk to you about the email you sent me the other day. But before we do, I'm going to get a quick word from our wonderful sponsor.
Okay, perfect.
Have you checked out Hazard Kebab yet? It's your go-to for a delicious lunch, a tasty dinner, or anything in between. Order online to save time and pick up some delicious, authentic Turkish cuisine in just minutes. HazardKebabCafe.co.nz. Dine in or take away at 906 George Street.
Best kebabs in Dunedin.
Did they make a vegan version?
Falafel?
There you go.
Is falafel vegan?
Yes, it is. I just have to make sure it's the right formula.
Yeah. So they do a falafel because he picks all my food for me, so I don't even choose off the menu anymore. Mustafa, again, friend of the show. I just go in there and say whatever you're making me because
I love that. To be honest,
Yeah.
I love going into a restaurant and say, you make me the best thing ever.
Yeah, I do. I've started doing it more often because I'm a creature of habit. Like I said to you with my socks, if I just went into a place and I know that I like that particular, I'd just buy that all the time, and I'm quite happy with that. I mean, literally my lunchtime, I go down the road to the bakery at my lunchtime and I say 2 empanadas, one of each flavour from the beautiful Casa Valencia, and they know when I walk in, they go one of each, and I'm like, yeah, every day. And occasionally I sort of say no, I'm going to force myself and get something else, and they're like. They almost fall off their seats. But he did me you won't like it because it's not quite vegan, but falafel and chicken wrap. It was just divine, and I wouldn't pick falafel. I don't dislike falafel, but I wouldn't if someone said here's your menu items, I'd be like. There'd be a lot of things I'd pick before falafel, but it was glorious. It was absolutely fantastic food. So, but yeah,
I'm sure I would not walk away from that place hungry.
No, I'm sure he wouldn't. He'd make sure of it. He's just that kind of person. So let's talk about you. Now, last time you were on the show, you were telling us all about your clinical hypnotherapist thing. Now, and you and I have spoken by email in over the last few months about something else that you were talking about.
It's an add-on, correct.
An add-on to what you were talking about. And I think you touched on it when you were here.
I just was going through my certification last time.
Through.
Now I'm certified.
So tell the listeners and help remind me what are we talking about here and why are you so excited about it?
So the best way I can describe this is think about how revolutionary penicillin was to healthcare. It's simple, it's quick, it's a shot. It's not for stage 4 cancer. But it's for an infection, something simple, something easy. And that's exactly what IEMT is, Integral Eye Movement Technique. It's like a penicillin shot for mental health. It helps you deal with trauma. How often have you had a thought running around in your brain that makes you feel shame, that makes you feel anger, that makes you feel an unpleasant emotion? I can get rid of that for you in 30 seconds. It just works.
Right.
And you just move the eyes.
Okay, so that can kind of, if someone's listening to that, someone might say, "Oh, that sounds like what's the word, bunkum or whatever they call it."
Yeah.
That sounds like silly voodoo talk or whatever it might be. But explain what that process is, right? Because obviously you're a clinical hypnotherapist, and we spoke about this last time. You're here to help people deal with through hypnosis and through.
I don't even need to get to hypnosis if I use this.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So you've gone. People come to you and say, look, we spoke about giving up smoking, and we spoke about other bits and pieces. Or I've got some trauma, or I've got an issue in my pocket, PTSD. I've got something that's affecting my ability to move on in my life, or whatever. And you can kind of. Part of the skills of what you've got is the ability to kind of hypnotize and take people through that from a hypnotherapy point of view. And hypnotherapy is obviously something that people are, whether they agree with it or don't agree with it, it's something they're probably familiar with.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Everybody's heard of hypnosis somehow, some way.
In some way, from the stage hypnosis to the let's help you stop smoking hypnosis. Explain in simple terms what this IEMT is.
So.
Obviously not to the point where people go out and do it themselves.
No. I'll make it super simple. Cool. So you've got short-term and long-term memory, right? So what happens is when something goes into short-term, if you have a vivid and unpleasant experience, say you're in a car wreck, right?
Yep.
Your brain doesn't want to move it to long-term memory because of the unpleasantness of the emotion attached to it. So it just circles. It just circles, and it can't go from short-term to long-term. And I know this sounds crazy because it's biology. This has nothing to do in believing with it or wanting it or whatever. When you pass your eyes back and forth from side to side, it's going from the left hemisphere to the right hemisphere. And for some reason, it cleans that unpleasant and vivid emotion off of the memory. And then the brain goes, I know how to file it. And it's done. And you can remember it. But there's none of the unpleasantness associated with it. I had it done from a memory when my mother called me a dumbass, and I bleached my hair. And
I wish I had some hair to bleach.
And so I bleached my hair. She called me a dumbass, and it really hurt me.
Yeah.
I carried that memory for decades. And so they told me, hold that memory in your mind. Follow my fingers. And we just went back and forth, and we did crisscross maybe 20, 30 seconds. I thought my head was going to split open. It was so painful. And then she goes, what do you notice now? And I go, I'm not the dumbass. My mother's a dumbass. Why would she ever treat her 13-year-old daughter that way? Why would she laugh and belittle her daughter? Why was she not caring and compassionate? So it just flipped the script in the blink of an eye. And it works for trauma. It works really, really well for vivid and unpleasant emotion. It works great for shame, guilt, regret, or remorse. That means you broke somebody's rule and you feel those emotions over it. Or it could be anger, irritation, frustration. That means somebody broke your rule. So you just get them to pull that memory up. It doesn't have to be the first time you remember it, just the first time now. Follow my finger. And I tell you, I did one girl. I released 3 memories like back to back to back. And I said, you know what, that's enough. We did a lot. And she spontaneously started crying because it was such a relief. And she was being harassed by a neighbor. When she went home that day, never saw that neighbor again because she changed.
Right.
We can only change ourselves. We can't change anybody else.
No, absolutely.
So I love it.
So if someone's listening and they're kind of going, hey, I'd like to give that a nudge, they can, what?
Stand in front of a mirror and look at that mirror and just think of that memory. And I'll take your finger and go all the way to your ear, all the way to your back and forth 6 times. Then go up to an eyebrow and come down to your shoulder 6 times. And do it kind of fast. And then switch opposite eyebrow down to your shoulder 6 times, real fast. Hold that memory in your mind. Don't let that memory go. Hold that memory in your mind and just do it in front of a mirror. I do it all the time.
Right.
Every time somebody upsets me or something bothers me, I go, I'm going to get rid of that. I don't even need a mirror. I just do it all the time.
Yeah.
And I just get rid of it in a heartbeat.
Could you argue that is like, I'm not trying to poo-poo the whole thing, but could you argue that's almost psychosomatic in the sense that because you're believing that it's going to...
It has nothing to do with belief because the first time I did it, I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
I was on a video chat and the woman goes, would you like to get rid of a vivid and unpleasant memory? And I was like, sure.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Pull that memory up in your mind. Have you got it? Yes, I do. Follow my finger.
Right.
And like I said, my head, like it just, because it was very traumatic memory for me, it literally stripped the negative emotion off. And then your brain goes, I know what to do with it. Because your brain likes to hold on to anything that creates a fight, flight, or freeze response.
Okay.
It likes to hold on to it and keep it at the top of the queue because it's like, oh, I need to remember this. This is important. This may save my life.
Right. And that's why it's doing it, because it's that kind of like...
Right. But it gets stuck. It's called a rehearsal buffer. Short-term, long-term. It gets stuck in the rehearsal buffer between your short and your long-term memory.
Yeah. And I guess there's no particular special thing that makes a memory traumatic, right? It's just, everyone...
Vivid and unpleasant.
We're all unique, but what I find unpleasant, for example, might not necessarily be the same as what you find unpleasant.
Exactly. It's a private experience.
Yeah.
And the great thing is I don't need to hear your story. If, say, you're a rape victim, I don't need to hear your story.
You don't need to share that, do you?
No. This is change therapy. It's not compassion and support. So some people like to buy into their story. I met one woman at the ED. She goes, I am blah, 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 victim of abuse, sadist, masochism, whatever she said. And I said, that's an identity for you. I said, you're hanging on to that as an identity. That's not healthy for you. And so there are different components. You can do work with PTSD where you tell a story and you do a linchpin, because there's always one moment where somebody goes, oh, I wish I would have done that differently and the event wouldn't have happened. A car wreck. I wish I had not been playing with a radio before I hit the car.
Yeah.
And then, so there's identity work. There's a lot of statement. I hate myself. How many people say that? How many speak derogatorily about themselves? So you work on the hate. When was the first time you remember feeling that way? and then you go back to the I, and then you go back to the myself. So it's kind of whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
It's very fluid when you're a clinician, and it's quick.
But I guess the beauty is what you said is let's say I've had a traumatic experience, and I've had plenty of them in my life, that maybe I'm holding on to one of them. I don't actually, in order for this technique to work, I don't actually have to share that with you, or to
not at all,
to do anything other than bring it to the forefront.
Hold on to that memory. Bring it to your mind. If it slips away, just bring it back.
Right. Okay. So there's because some people struggle with. Would struggle with potentially going to therapy for that reason, right? Some people don't want to share that.
The way that we treat mental health right now is so backwards, because if you go to a traditional talk therapist, they want you to talk about the rape. They want you to talk about this horrible abuse situation. All you're doing is reliving it and anchoring it. There's no good in that. You know, that's why I love this technique. This is the penicillin of mental health.
Right.
We have been waiting for this, and it's not that old. I think Andrew Austin developed this. He's a nurse in the UK, and he worked with psychiatric patients. And he started developing this off of EDMR around 2000. And so I watched a webcast with him this week. He's very active, and when you go to a session with Andrew, you say about 2 words. He'll just say, bring that memory to your mind. Have you got it? And then he goes.
Yeah.
He is so quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't need. I guess, and I guess like it's also a type of therapy that you could do on group, couldn't you? Like, because if everyone's bringing a different memory but doing the same,
exactly,
but following the same technique,
is
something
you can do that. You just don't want to do it about grief,
right?
Because grief is a special type of emotion.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like to use the word negative in relation to an emotion. Like anger is really not a negative emotion. Sometimes it's good to get angry. If a woman's abused and her husband keeps beating her up, at some point she'll get angry and say, I don't deserve this. I deserve better things in my life. And she'll call the police and she'll leave them.
Yeah.
That's where anger was helpful.
Yeah, you can't categorize it then as a negative, can you? That's
I don't
actually,
like using the word negative
that's
at
become
all.
positive. But we pigeonhole emotions, like, you know, in different regards. You know, like, you know, if you're happy, that's a positive emotion. If you're sad, that's a negative emotion.
What do people say when you're sad? Don't be sad. You don't tell people don't be happy.
No.
If somebody tells me they're sad, I say, you know what? Lean in. Go ahead and feel it. If you want to take a day off and watch Netflix and eat popcorn and sit on the couch, do it. But tomorrow, let it go. Say, I've leaned in, I've processed through those feelings, and now it's ready to move on to a new chapter.
See, Netflix makes me sad because I can never find anything on the bloody thing to watch. There's just too many choices.
I know.
I get choice overload, and I'm like, I don't watch, and I end up not watching a single damn thing.
You know what? I only do a pay service like once every couple of months. I'll do Netflix for 1 month.
Right.
And watch everything I want, and then take a break, and I'll go to Disney Plus or whatever.
That's a pretty good idea.
Right
actually.
now, I'm watching a lot of TVNZ.
We've got quite a lot of good programming on TVNZ.
Yeah, I just watched a great movie with Julia Roberts and Owen Wilson called Wonder. Excellent movie.
Yeah.
It got like a 8 out of 10 on IBDM. So it was a good movie. I enjoyed, and it was free.
Yeah, well, they're good actors, aren't they? I like both of those, Julia Roberts and Owen Wilson. So yeah, no.
Now you got a movie to watch for free tonight.
If I can remember it, Laura, that's the trouble. Because the problem with my short-term and long-term memory is that neither of them working very well. To be fair, as I'm getting older, and I forget stuff like literally all the time.
You know why? Because your brain's cluttered with all those unpleasant and vivid memories you don't need anymore. You need to strip them. Before I go today, when we're off the air, I'll give you a demo.
Sounds fantastic. I want to talk a bit more about that, but before we do, we'll get another word from our wonderful sponsor.
I will.
Have you checked out his kebab yet? It's your go-to for a delicious lunch, a tasty dinner, or anything in between. Order online to save time and pick up some delicious, authentic Turkish cuisine in just minutes. hazardkebabcafe.co.nz. Dine in or take away at 906 George Street.
So we're getting to the pointy end of the show now. So we've got about 5 minutes left to go. So what else have you been doing? Is
writing children's books?
Because you do. You still obviously that's something that you've.
I've written 6.5. I'm writing a book about grief for children because, as we know, it's grieving is hard. Losing a pet, Losing a pet or a person is what the book is about, but I've written Cuddle Up and Good Night, which is just a general book to help get your kid to sleep.
Yep.
Cuddle Up and Forgive. Forgiveness is very important for children to learn and not to hang on to anger. Cuddle Up and Aspire, which is about reaching for the stars, thinking about what you want to do when you grow up, be an astronaut, a police officer, be a soccer star like David Beckham. He's in the book.
Oh, yeah, yep.
And then I did 3 holiday books, Cuddle Up and Be Scary, Cuddle Up and Be Thankful, and Cuddle Up and Be Merry, which are kind of for the American market. And the last one's Cuddle Up and Grieve. And then next year I'm writing 9 new books. I'm starting off with Cuddle Up and Hop, which is for Easter, Cuddle Up and Be a Unicorn. I can't wait to write that one. And Cuddle Up and Pop for the 250th anniversary for America.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, because it's, yeah. I come from a country that's a lot older than 250 years. It's like, so I suddenly forget. I do forget that, like, especially this country we're living in right now, this beautiful country, is, you know,
it's very young. It's about the age of Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. A very, very young country, an old man in a young country. So, gonna go back to the hypnotherapy side of stuff.
Yep.
Well, not so much the hypnotherapy side of stuff, but you're you know the I'm never gonna get it right. What's the initials again?
IEMT.
IEMT is
Integral. And you know what? I don't like it that it's IEMT. Integral eye movement technique. It's much more, because a technique to me says it's one thing. This is a whole modality. You know, there's like 6 or 7 different things you can do, and there's probably more than that because I'm new to the field.
Yeah.
But it works. You know, when I was doing my 2 test cases, I mean, I had these women in just quick order. I helped somebody who was doing a job interview. He came in and he was twitchy and nervous. And in 1 hour, we got rid of all that. And just because I liked him, I went ahead and hypnotized him just for some positive reinforcement.
Nice. So someone's out there thinking, I'd like to give that a try. Right? Forget the stand in front of the mirror stuff and actually
come see me.
Actually, come and see you. But something like this sounds like it would cost a lot of money. And you said to me that there are therapists that are doing this for like large sums, right? Explain the difference. How much are you doing it for?
I'm doing a very, very small amount of money because I'm really about helping people. So I'm charging $50 a session. A session is probably 50 minutes, but that's what I mean. I keep that time full, like I'm always working. That's what I mean. A lot of times this IEMT will take me 10, 15 minutes. So I'm like, let me give you some hypnosis. You know, hypnosis is great. And so I'm just doing $50 a session. If you want to get it, I'm the only person on the South Island who's certified to do this. There are 3 clinicians on the North Island. I know my cohort in Wellington charges $1,100 for 5 sessions.
Wow.
So much different pay scale, but I've always cared about helping people, but I cannot offer it for free.
Yeah.
If you give somebody something for free, they don't value it.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I had the same conversation with people on trying to sell houses.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, I get free marketing with something. You get what you pay for. And if you pay for free marketing, it's actually, you just don't get the thing that you're paying for.
Like, I know. And so there's value, you know.
Everything's got a value. And
50 is so reasonable. When I do tarot card readings too, I charge $50 for 30 minutes for a tarot card reading.
Yeah.
And that's just stuff I've learned. I've studied tarot for several years now. I have a bachelor's in psychology, a master's in counseling, a doctorate in clinical hypnotherapy, and I've gotten this IEMT certification. I'm a certified hypnotherapist for past life regression. I mean, I probably have 18 years of education related to this stuff, and I'm charging $50 an hour.
Yeah.
So they definitely get the better part of the deal, but I get a lot of joy.
You got to do the things that bring you joy. I'm a firm believer of that, you know. And so if there are people listening and they're holding on to stuff that's not bringing them joy, then it does.
That's right, and it's so simple.
Yeah, for $50, it's. I mean, genuinely, I know that sounds silly.
It has changed my life.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you. Like I went vegan. Like that was so seamless for me. There's so many things I've changed in my life. Unhealthy relationships I've gotten rid of, and it's also given me the radar to understand when I start to get to know somebody, I can see those red flags right off the bat. And then I go, that's not anybody I want to be friends with.
Well,
but I get no red flags from you, Richard.
That's good to know. Do you hear that, people? No red flags from Richard.
No red flags from Richard.
And
He's wonderful.
That is the perfect place to stop the show. So thank you very much for coming along again. Look forward to catching up with you in the next time. But again, thank you for stepping in for me when I needed an extra guest. Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Well, that's a wrap for this week. Thank you for tuning in. I've been Richard Knights, and you've all been wonderful. Remember, if you're looking for robust, respectful adult debate about all things local and further afield, and a welcoming online community that doesn't take itself too seriously, come and find What's News Dunedin on Facebook and join our fun. On next week's show, we'll be talking to Karen Van Gastel from Empower Me Fitness, and we look forward to seeing you next Friday at 12 on OAR FM. And if you want to listen to the show again, or simply share it with your friends, you can find the podcast at oar.org.nz, or even on Spotify, YouTube, or your favourite podcast provider.
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.